Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Yes, welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch. Brought to you by, amazingly enough, thegaminggang.com. So, welcome aboard. If this is your first time visiting, kick back, relax, put your feet up. We are not performing rocket surgery here by any stretch of the imagination. We're just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. So we're going to chat about board games, role-playing games, card games, miniatures games. If it's something that you're playing on your tabletop, we are probably talking about it. Every once in a while, we'll talk a little PC gaming. And sometimes pop culture does rear its head as well. But for the most part, it's a lot of tabletop gaming talk. So, like I said, make yourself at home. If you are someone who is a constant viewer, someone who visits regularly, and you're tuning in, thank you so much for once again taking some time out of your busy day or evening or morning, or it's tomorrow for some people already. Thank you very much for hanging out and keeping me company. So, tonight is Wednesday, January 27th, 2021. This is live stream number 611. I know. Wow. 611. Boy, I tell you, every day, I should say every day, every show, when I add one more to the total, I'm like, wow. Anyway, do want to point out, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live here on YouTube, also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my preview of Cult of the Deep, coming into Kickstarter from BA Games. Yes, this video will be up tonight. And I do believe that this is going to hit Kickstarter. I think it's February 3rd. I'll have to double check. But I do believe that that is when it is arriving on Kickstarter. So get a head start, find out what I think about it. So there's that. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Of course, this is a live stream, so that means chat is available over on YouTube. It's the only place there would be chat with this video because it's only on YouTube. Do want to point out the chat is not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, or maybe you got a question, a comment, by all means, please chime in. I will do my best to respond. Sometimes chat does zip by rather quickly, though. So far tonight, first out the gate was John Vogel saying hello. Flaming Huron is here. He's one of our chat moderators. We got Clint Gibson, Doug Roberts. Hey, I think it's Doug Roberts' first visit. Welcome aboard, Doug. Thanks for hanging out. It's kind of our running gag now because Doug has popped in a few times. And there were a couple of times I was like, I think that's the first time Doug's joining us in chat. Good to have Doug back. Kabuki Kid is in the house. The Madman has arrived as well. So both of our chat moderators are here. And I think that's everybody. I think I've got everybody here. So Doug Roberts is like, so what's the 611? What's the 411, man? All right. Good deal. So happy hump day, everybody. So Doug Roberts says, yep, first time again. Yep. All right. Hopefully everybody's having a pretty good Wednesday. I will point out it is National Holocaust Remembrance Day. So not to try to walk on everybody's buzz out there, but it is important, I think, for folks to remember. I don't think, people in my age group or even right behind me generationally really need a big reminder. Some of the younger folks, because I know that it was not long ago. It was a couple of months ago. I was reading about a survey, and it was, I believe it was adults 18 to 26 or something like that. And they were asking them about the Holocaust, and they didn't know a damn thing. In fact, I think it broke down to about, I think it was 13% actually knew enough that was factual about the Holocaust, which wasn't too far ahead of the 10% who thought the Jewish people had brought it on themselves. Yeah. All right, so I do want to mention that. Let's get back to more pleasant. Let's get back to the kind of the joking and not so serious. But I did want to mention that. All right, so I got a good amount of news tonight. I got some cool stuff we're going to talk about. So first off, let's jump on in because February. How about I get a drink of here? February. Yeah. February, I guess that's how the word is pronounced, we'll see the release of Merchants of the Dark Road from Elf Creek Games. And here's what I know. After half a year of daylight, we must now prepare for the dark season. The roads will be treacherous, but they will still need to be braved by a select few in order to keep our cities thriving. In Merchants of the Dark Road, you are one of these brave few merchants that travel the dangerous paths between cities. While the job is perilous, fame and fortune await. Discover the capital city where most of your actions will take place using a rondel action system. Collect and produce items to add to your caravan or sell these items to local heroes and hire them to travel with you. Manipulate the market price of items, such as, I guess, GameStop stock. Visit the back alley cellars or delve a nearby dungeon for magical items to gain the potential for even more coin and notoriety. Gather lanterns to ease your passage along the dark roads as you guide your caravan to distant villages. Deliver goods and heroes to the best destinations and gain fame for your bravery. Balance the money you earn with the height of your fame because your final score after a number of game rounds will reflect the lowest of these two values. After all, what good is a purse full of coin if the people don't sing songs about you? What good is a song with an empty mug of ale? This did Kickstart. So I do want to share the Kickstarter video so you get a better feel for this game, because I got to admit, this game does look pretty interesting. So kick back and take a peek.
This is our chance to get some money and we'll be sung as heroes.
I don't know, Edith. The dark season is beset with all sorts of dangers. I'm not willing to risk my wagon or my neck for your ego and delusions of grandeur. Welcome to the booming city of High Reach, chock full of activity, fame, and fortune. Find companions, fill your wagon, and light your lanterns. There's coin to be made along the dark road. Are you ambitious enough to endure the dangerous travels ahead? Merchants of the Dark Road is a strategy game for 1 to 4 players, set in a world of ice and snow during its winter-long night. Plan your next move carefully as you puzzle out how to move around the city both now and on future turns. Earn your fortune by selling goods to heroes at the Ringway Inn. Or find pain through dangerous travels on the Dark Road to distant cities. The lowest of these two totals is your final score. So become rich and famous to be named the greatest merchant in High Reach. Well, Edith, you were right. I've got to say, I was worried for nothing.
That's easy for you to say. I was nearly eaten before we even arrived.
My friend, the lantern may flicker and fade, but the coin still shines. When is our next journey?
Merchant of the Dark Road is for 1 to 4 players, ages 12 and up, plays in 60 to 120 minutes, and it will carry an MSRP of $55 when it arrives in early February. Well. Rob German has joined us in chat and says this looks kind of interesting. I agree. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to share this, because I thought this looks like a pretty interesting game. It's got an interesting concept to it as well. And you already know, regardless of what people try to say to me through email or direct messaging, I don't feel I'm wasting my time by sharing news from smaller game companies. Yes, lately I've been getting more of these people saying, "Oh, why are you wasting your time with blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah? You should be covering Fantasy Flight Games." We've had this discussion. There are plenty of people covering Fantasy Flight Games. They don't need my help. Smaller companies, yeah, hey, if I can boost the signal a little bit, it's all good. It's all good. So this looks pretty interesting. Moving right along, another game that kickstarted is coming soon. It's from the Red Joker and Gigamech Games, and they are the Oco Chronicles. Everyone who's read the comic books or has played the board game by Hasgard Editions will be really excited with this one. The Red Joker brings Oco and his party once again on our tables. The game will be included in the company's Chronicles series, and it will be an entirely new standalone game. Although this addition to the series will have many differences to its predecessors, those who are familiar with Guardians Chronicles will get into this game in no time, as the basic rules will be quite similar to it. If you haven't heard of this great story, it's time to find out about Oco's incredible universe. Do have to point out, the Red Joker is not in like North America or England. They are from a non-English speaking country. I forget who it is. I forget where they are. So I'm actually doing my best to phrase this correctly, because the localization of this news piece is not the best. Anyway, Oco is a demon hunter along with his companions Noboru, Notion, and Tiku. He wanders the lands of the Pajan Empire. Noboru is the most faithful companion of Oku. He is a Hanyo, half man, half demon, who hides himself behind a red mask. Notion is a monk who can communicate with the commies, as in spirits, not communists, and has a special preference for sake. Tiku is a young fisherman at that time who wishes to become a monk through the guidance of Notion. The four of them are on a mission after Tiku's request to help them find his kidnapped sister. This quest will lead the four of them to situations and places far from what they had ever imagined. The heroes in Oco Chronicles will have a character card with characteristics and talents. They also come with power cards, which will represent the hero's special abilities, secret techniques, and other unique skills. This latest addition to the Chronicles family will plunge you into the heart of a dark and fantastic incarnation of medieval Japan. Journey through the four corners of the war-torn kingdom of Pajan as you join the Ronin monster slayer Oko and his brave companions as they hunt down a variety of fearsome supernatural foes. Whether you choose to harness the devastating power of fickle elementals or rely on the cold surety of ancestral steel, you must combine your martial prowess with all your cunning if you're to uncover and destroy the demon in your midst. Developed for those used to Guardians Chronicles, once again, I'm trying to put this together properly because it's like my eyes are reading and I'm going, what? Here, I'll just read exactly what it says. Developed from those used for Guardians Chronicles, Oco's Chronicles introduces completely new those mechanics. So let me go back to trying to read it so it makes sense. Still easy to learn and fun to play, these rules have their own unique flavor and specific features that allow you to become totally immersed in this fascinating universe. These developments include weapons, armor, and item cards with which to equip your heroes, allowing you to tailor them to the situations they face. A unique investigation system to enable the heroes to unmask the terrible Oni hid among the occupants of the daimyo's palace. This was kickstarted, so I'm going to share the Kickstarter video so you get a better look at this. Once again, this is another pretty interesting looking game, and there's a ton coming out for it. So kick back and let's give this quick Kickstarter video. Well, actually, I think this is a little longer Kickstarter video, but let's give it a peek.
My name is Tiku. At last, in the twilight of my long existence, I commit to parchment the fragments of my memory. Shining brightest among these are the great exploits of Oko, my master, to which I was privileged to have borne witness. As a young man, I committed myself to his side. Already he was one of the most notorious and skillful Ronin in the empire of the Bajan. Once, long years before, he had been one of the most prominent samurai of the Kuritsu clan, famous and formidable hunters of ghosts and demons. But those days, along with their titles and obligations, had vanished like smoke in the wind. Although he had become a bride to a past as turbid as the waters of the marshes, he continued to pace the imperial roads in pursuit of the yokai and other baleful Oni, who threatened the precarious balance of our empire, where some of these most powerful demons had hatched plots to open the gates of hell and unleash its horrors on our world. The daimyos of countless castles and palaces appealed to my master, requesting his aid to investigate and flush out the shadowy forces hidden in their midst. In his many adventures, Oko was accompanied by the enigmatic Noboro and the monk Notion. The first was a giant who ever hid his identity behind a red mask. The second, despite a serious inclination for sake and its sweet intoxication, had the power to invoke the kami, those formidable spirits of nature. As we wandered, daring adventurers crossed our path and joined our struggle against the forces of darkness. Never will I forget the choleric Setsuka Bashiman, accompanied by her loyal Hakabusiers, and Nook, her faithful Nazumi scout. I can still see Windreaper, proud Bushi of the mountains, and Kuban, the legendary samurai, clothed for all eternity in his giant armor. Many others came to join us.
Oco Chronicles is an adventure board game for 2 to 5 players, which combines miniatures combat and subtle investigation in a feudal Japanese setting inspired by the Hub comic book series. Will you take on the role of an intrepid adventurer who, along with their companions, will track the forces of evil through the shadow-haunted chambers of the palace? Or will you command the forces of evil alone and prevent heroes from completing your malevolent plans? The choice is yours, but whatever the outcome, your exploits will become the stuff of legend.
Oco Chronicles is for 2 to 5 players, ages 14 and up. Plays in around 2 hours. Does carry an MSRP of $85 when it arrives in February. Once again, I think this will come out. It's not next week. I think it's the week after that. And there are loads of expansions for this as well. And I was like, holy cow. It's like, I think there's like 8 expansions also arriving. So I think this might be the first time this is available in English. I am not positive because as you saw, it said, oh, kickstarting in 2017. So I do believe that this kickstarted in 2019. So I don't know. I am not sure. Here's something else I think I should point out too is according to distributors, this is coming from GMT Games, which, gosh, I can't recall what country they're out of. Once again, they're not North American. And interestingly enough, this is not on the website at all for them, but it is on the Red Joker website, which, if memory serves me, it is the-red-joker.com. So, I don't know. Flaming Heron mentioned that this looks like this would make a pretty good manga based on the illustrations. As far as I understand, this is based on a comic. So that's where a lot of those illustrations were coming out from. Doug Roberts is like, Godzilla! Or in Japan, it'd be Gohia. I don't know if everybody knew that. Godzilla is not called Godzilla in Japan. I think almost everybody knows that. So Doug says that he likes to look at this, but it probably wouldn't work for him because it's got no solo play. Aha. Rob German mentions that Merchants of the Dark Road is designed by Brian Suri. And then, I don't know, is that good or bad, Rob? I don't know if I'm familiar with Brian's work. So the Madman says that he's with Doug. His family doesn't play games. So he would have to find some solo games. So I have to ask the Madman, and we'll get back to the news in just a second, because I am kind of curious. Do members of your family play role-playing games, or do they not game at all? Because I could have swore, if once again I might be remembering this incorrectly, but I thought the Madman's daughter, who I believe is off in college, does game with him sometimes. So maybe, I don't know. The Madman says no gaming at all. With a little tear roll it down his cheek. Just, he should have, too bad he can't share video, right? So Madman could have said no gaming at all and then showed the, what was it? Was it Jay Silverheels that they used for that, very, very strange. I'm going to have to go and check on my dongle. It's not really a dongle, but I'm going to have to take a look to see what's going on, because that's the second time that we have had the internet drop during the stream, and that's very, very bizarre. That is very, very weird. So, Flaming Heron says, same as yesterday. I think it was the day before. Wasn't it Monday's show that it did that? That it dropped for and it's only a few seconds. And the only way I know that it happens is because I've already discussed the software that I use to stream has done an update that doesn't let me shrink it down like I want it to be. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, we can only have you do this the way we want you to do this. So they've changed it. So I have like the spot where it shows like drop frames and things like that. I can't see it right off the bat. So usually I would see, oh, we got some drop frames or something. But I do see chat disconnect. And as soon as I saw chat disconnect, I was like, hey. And I glanced over and I see the icon for Wi-Fi is gone. And I'm like, good. Great. All right. Fleming Heron says, yeah, maybe it was Monday. They sort of bleed into one another or blend into one another. Yes, I know what you mean. It's like today I was sitting there thinking, oh, yeah, it's Thursday. It's like, no, it's not. So Grade A says, Oco, wasn't that a comic book? Yes, we were talking about that. Or maybe I was saying that as the internet dropped. So Grade A says there's been 2 or 3 Oco Kickstarter projects and several board games. Yes, this has, according to what I've seen on one of the distributors that I use for pulling news from sometimes, there's like 8 expansions coming out for this second week of February. So, could be kind of interesting. Could be kind of cool. Once again, another small company. Thought I'd share the news. All right, it's Wednesday. Remember, I thought it was Thursday, but it is Wednesday. And I know John Vogel's here because he wants some more gaming news. So damn it, I'm going to give John Vogel and the rest of you some more gaming news. Because up on the GMT Games P500 list is Prime Minister. Here's the scoop. In 1837, Queen Victoria begins her long reign over the United Kingdom, a country split between liberals and conservatives. Hey, that sounds like another country I know in the modern day. Liberals strive for social progress, including a repeal of the Corn Laws to help feed the working classes, expansion of the electorate to create a real democracy, and home rule for Ireland. Conservatives want to slow the pace of change while advancing their own agenda to maintain order, protect traditional values, and secure the empire. Her Majesty occasionally interferes in politics, but it's the Prime Minister who really governs the country and sets the political agenda. 10 different prime ministers served during Victoria's reign, with varying degrees of success. Now it's your turn to experience Victorian political life. When the game is over, how will you be remembered? As a lowly backbencher unable to work your way to the top? As a party leader who fell short in the end? Or will you become the prime minister that history remembers? In Prime Minister, 1 to 4 players take on the roles of talented politicians vying for power and prestige in Victorian-era Britain. At the beginning of the game, each player draws a politician card representing one of the 10 historical prime ministers who served during Queen Victoria's reign. Each card features unique abilities that you'll retain throughout the game. You'll also have 1 of 3 exchangeable player mats for your politician's current role: Prime Minister, Opposition Leader, or Backbencher. While always keeping one eye on the upcoming election, players select and debate bills, pursue official appointments, recruit support by hobnobbing with influential Victorians, garner favor with the Queen, and when the time is right, challenge other players for their leadership roles and seize their player mats. Politician roles and party control of government shift throughout the game, and you'll rack up victory points as you secure personal and political achievements. Win the game by becoming the first to reach 100 victory points while holding the Prime Minister's role. Prime Minister is for 1 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, plays in around 2 to 3 hours. You can reserve a copy right now at the P500 price of $52. If it makes the cut and gets published, it will carry an MSRP of $75. Do want to also mention the images that I am sharing right now are prototype. They're not finished. So I'm sure these cards will look a lot different. They'll get that treatment. They'll get that GMT treatment. Interesting. I thought this is pretty cool. I have to say, I'm curious whatever happened to Mr. President. I don't know if any of you out there remember that I have a pal of mine, John Welsh, although I haven't really talked to John in a while since he got married, but he had designed Cruel Necessity and Levy and Mass. He did some designs for Victory Point Games, and then he was doing work with GMT as far as putting some games together, and one of them was Mr. President. It was supposed to be you were the president, and you had, you know, all these different things that you had to take care of. You know, you had your basically your foreign policy, your domestic policies, all these different things. And nothing ever came about it, as far as I know. It wasn't that long ago that it was still in the mix, although I don't think John was working on it. So I don't know. So Doug says, I'm kind of tired of politics. Yes, I understand where you're coming from. I have, by the vote, the fine folks over at Koozies Games, I almost said something else, sent me this to do a review of, and I feel the same way. It's kind of like, oh, political game. I don't know. Hey, at least this is history. This is far enough back. So Clint Gibson says, Prime Minister is a board flipping game waiting to happen here. Flip that table. Has anyone ever had somebody like freak out like that at a game table? I never have. I've never seen that. I've seen people get kind of mad, but I've never seen somebody completely lose their shit over a game. But then again, that's just me. So Great Ace talking about the solo AI system that's up on P500 from Stuka Joe. Yeah, I'm not sharing any Stuka Joe news. No, I'm kidding. That's coming tomorrow. So I wanted to share. I had thought about sharing that news today because there are 3 new P500 titles up there. But I wanted to share something that's more a game, you know, a complete game. Because as far as I understand, I think Stuka Joe's solo system is for, I think, 6. I think it's 6 right now. GMT card-driven games. So it's not really a game in itself. You have to have some of those other games to have any use of it, or purchase those games when you purchase the. Yeah, I think I'm trying to think. I think it's just like solo. I think it's just like solo game system is what they're calling it. I forget. So Optional Rule has joined us. Good to see you, Optional Rule. Welcome aboard. John Vogel says that they had heard that Stuka Joe's solo system thing is still being tested. Yeah, that's what I thought too. That's why it's up on P500, and it's gotten. I think it made the cut already, or it's really close. But I don't think it's going to go to the printer anytime soon. So Optional Rule says, I've played Diplomacy. I've seen whole friendships end from that game. You know what? I played Diplomacy for years. And yes, there were people, sometimes every once in a while you get some hurt feelings, but I've never seen anybody get all that worked up over it. Now, hey, I'm not telling you what's going on with your, gaming group, Optional Rule, but there are a lot of people who have never played Diplomacy who make it out like, oh yeah, oh my God, that's like, oh, I've seen people they pull knives on each other. So the Madman says a friend's wife will flip the table. They don't play board games together anymore. Really? See this? I just find that crazy. Kabuki Kid says, worst I saw was the guy cursed us all out and stormed out of the house during a Diplomacy game. There you go. I don't know. Well, it doesn't help that even to this day, as far as I know, there are still rule discrepancies in Diplomacy. You would have thought After all of these years, they would iron those out, but they haven't. Flaming Heron says, I have, but they kind of make it out to be a mistake because they knocked the board to the side rather than flipped it. Kabuki Kid says, my boyfriend threw the boggle box across the room once while we were playing during a power outage. All right. Okay, then. All right. Double Z1. Yes. Zorak Zoran 1 has arrived in chat to join us tonight. So John Bogle says, Mr. President is still in playtesting. And I like I said, I don't think John Welsh is has anything to do with that anymore. Just like he was working on a coin series game, and it was about the troubles in Ireland. And I'm not gonna knock GMT, but GMT doesn't necessarily have the greatest development in place for games. In fact, maybe that's a little too inside baseball, but if you're designing a game and normally, like for an example, like Victory Point Games, much smaller company than GMT. Victory Point Games, what they would do is they'd assign somebody to be your developer. Or if you had somebody you were working with, like I know my good buddy Herman Letman, his pal Fred Manzo does development on a lot of Herman's designs, then that was fine. Basically, GMT, unless things have changed, GMT is kind of like, well, get your own developer. So that's like every once in a while, now not so much lately, but there was a point that we were seeing a lot of GMT releases that were coming out that just felt a little undercooked. So things may have changed. I mean, this was a few years ago that I understand that that's how things operated at GMT. And once again, I'm not knocking them. It's just they were doing things a little bit differently. So, yes. Anyway, John says, yeah, that is Mr. President still in playtesting. I'm kind of curious to see what that would end up being. A Great A says, I've seen more arguments over Axis and Allies than any other game. Huh. Yeah, I was going to say, I played that a bit, but I don't recall getting into anything about it. In fact, it was funny. I lived out in Albuquerque, New Mexico for about 3 years, and I had a roommate. This is years and years ago. I had a roommate and another buddy of mine. We all worked together and used to, the one friend used to come over sometimes on Saturday night, and we'd sit around drinking beer, playing Axis and Allies. And this one guy, he chewed tobacco, and he would actually put his tobacco up in his upper lip so he could drink beer and still spit. I was like, okay. Yep. So we used to play a little Axis and Allies, and then we'd go to the casino and play craps. So, yes, another Jeff adventure for you from the past. Kabuki Kid says, Axis and Allies never caused any fights for her. You knew your opponents, and everyone went hard against one another. There was nothing really to debate. A Great A says, Warhammer was a very close second. So many arguments about minutia. That I believe. So, yeah, any game with a ruler is going to cause fights. I think the biggest blow up that I ever encountered at a game table is, and I won't name the friend. It was not my best friend Elliot. It's not anybody who's part of the gaming gang now. This is years ago. We were playing Silent Death, and Elliot was actually on my side, and we just shellacked my friend and his playing partner, and he just got pissed. Yeah, he did. All these goddamn rules, and he was screaming. We were like, all right. So we were actually at his house. We were like, see ya, bye. So, all right. Anyway, so some discussion about some other games out there. Flying Colors, GMT's Flying Colors. That has been out for quite some time. I think it's a new print run that is coming along there. All right, let's start talking a little bit about role-playing game news, because now available in PDF from Cubicle 7 Entertainment is Warhammer Age of Sigmar Soulbound Doomed Lands. Here's the deets. The people of the mortal realms have suffered long years of torment at the hands of the forces of chaos, and such pain is not easily forgotten. The flame of hope is a fragile thing, and though there is belief that Sigmar's storm in the return of the Soulbound will bring a better future, a sick feeling remains that all of the fighting is for nothing. Doubt, selfishness, and fear are what once led the realms to the brink of destruction and ushered in the Age of Chaos, and many believe it will soon happen again, and the mortal realms are doomed. In Soulbound, doom is used to reflect the encroaching dread felt by all who dwell in the mortal realms. It's used to paint the world with a mood and feel, but can also be used as part of the game mechanics to reinforce the worsening state of the world. Doom Lands offers game masters advice on incorporating Doom into their Soulbound campaign using doomed locations. Doom locations are places throughout the mortal realms that respond to the amount of accumulated Doom. As Doom increases, its influence shapes the location, altering its characteristics to reflect diminishing hope and rising dread. This PDF contains 21 Doom locations across the realms of, get ready, because I'm going to mispronounce all of these, the realms of Akshui, Chaman, Gur, Garang, Hush, Shaish, and Yugul. Yeah, fantasy locations. What can I tell you? You can use these locations in your own game or use them as inspiration to create your own doomed locations. This 16-page PDF is available right now over at DriveThruRPG for $3.99. Cool deal. Good to see Cubicle 7 is continuing to support Soulbound. Just had a news piece yesterday about Wrath and Glory, the Forsaken System Player's Guide. Always cool to see Cubicle 7 staying on top of the various different systems they've got, along with Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, which happens to be a favorite of mine as well. So, of course, this is a PDF. This is not going to be out in print. It's only 16 pages. All right, my final news piece, available in print and PDF from Earl of Fife Games, is A Witch's Desire for Old School Essentials. Here's the dope. The debt comes due. Will it cost you everything? Your hamlet has somehow survived the unnatural winter. It is a boon against all the tragedy in the world, and you live in relative comfort. But is the price too high? The Witch of the Wilds once again calls on you to complete a task. What does she want this time? Is it a bauble? Is it a dangerous trek? Soon you will find the truth and either perish at her whim or earn great favor and reward. A Witch's Desire is an adventure for old school essentials and compatible with any B/X game. A Witch's Desire can be a challenging adventure full of travel and exploration that should take anywhere between 8 and 12 hours to complete. Inside, you'll find 26 pages of dark fantasy content, including a modular dark fantasy adventure that can be set in whatever setting you desire, new travel mechanics, a fully detailed map in Game Master and player formats. The Game Master map is included in the PDF itself. However, the GM and player map is also available on your own with your download. The 26-page adventure is available in softcover with the PDF for $11.99, or you can snag just the PDF itself for $3.99. Nice. Very cool. Looks kind of interesting, I have to say. Now, I believe Earl of Fife normally has their own kind of like system agnostic setting. So it's kind of interesting that this is specifically an old school essentials, or I guess we'll say BX, B/X adventure. So cool. Nice. I always like to share a little OSR info or adventures out there as well. So, of course, last two news items I did mention are available at Drive-Thru RPG. Of course, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, are affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit, say, Drive-Thru RPG, please swing by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a little portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. And there are quite a few people actually use those links, so I really do appreciate that. So Viper Dave has joined us. I guess that means I got to wrap up the show. Good to see you, Viper Dave. So Great Ace curious, what's with all the RPG cook and drink books? I don't know. I honestly have no idea, especially since we're in the midst of a pandemic and people really aren't getting together like we have in the past. I don't know. That's almost like saying, okay, so I know we just finished an election, but I think we're going to release a presidential election game. I'm not knocking the game. I haven't even checked it out yet, but I do find it kind of a little unusual. It's like I've mentioned it before. We see these political games go up on Kickstarter 6 months before the election, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, well we're gonna deliver the game after the election," and you're like, "What? What are you talking about?" So, Great Ace says, cross out buy and write steal. Yeah, okay. Yeah. If that were the case, this would go in the trash. So. All right. Hang on. What am I looking at here? Oh, Ardwolf's Lair popped in. I'm sorry, I didn't say hello to you. I always try to make sure I say hello to everybody when they pop into chat. All right, so do you want to also mention today, well, actually into tomorrow morning, my time, it's the last opportunity for you to download Galactic Civilizations 3 for free over at the Epic Games Store. Don't miss out. If you do not have it and you like 4X games, by all means, grab it. You don't want, because it's funny, because there are people that I'll tell all the time because they don't happen to visit the Gaming Gang for some stupid reason. Like, you could go every Thursday, you can see what the free game is from Epic, because I always have a news piece. So there are a couple of people that I tweet basically, or I text them, or tag them on Facebook, whatever. And I'll sit there and be like, hey, the freebie over at Epic Games is really good this week. It's this. And it never fails. Or, they're like, oh yeah, awesome. And next time I talk to them, oh, hey, did you end up grabbing blah, blah, blah? And they're like, no, I forgot. How busy could you be that you can't go over to the Epic Games Store, sign into your account, click on that, like, oh yes, get that, and you're done. You don't have to download it. So don't miss out if you like 4X science fiction games. Also, not long before I went live tonight, I saw Cloris Leachman passed away at the age of 94. And I have to say, Young Frankenstein was a movie that I saw umpteen times in high school. Just like Blazing Saddles. That was another one that I saw a lot in high school because it was, those were two of the movies that Elliot had on VHS that his brother must have recorded off of, like, I don't know, HBO or something. So we watched those a lot. And the one thing I always thought was interesting is Cloris Leachman plays Frau Blucher. And every time her name is mentioned, you hear a horse like, like, oh, jeez. So here's an interesting tidbit. A lot of people out there think the reason why you always hear a horse when her name is mentioned is because Blucher, either in German or Yiddish, means glue. That's not true. So, yes, horse witty, horse sounds. Everybody's chiming in on the kids die like the glue rumor. So here's what it really is. Now, this is according to Mel Brooks and Gene Wilder, so I'm going to have to assume that this is true. In old movies, especially like Universal horror movies or melodramas, like really over the top melodramas, you would always have like flash of lightning, where it's like, oh, exclamation point on this dramatic moment. Or you'd have like the organ, dun. Or as I tend to joke around, I go, dun, dun, dun. That is what the horse whinnying actually is. It's supposed to represent that same sort of like shock. And it's because Frau Blucher is supposedly a rather evil woman. And as Gene Wilder had mentioned, it's supposed to also represent that it's like what does this woman do to the horses when no one's around? Or what does she do with the horses when no one's around? So Kabuki Kid says that dun 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 scene is also from Young Frankenstein. Oh my gosh, you're right. I could have swore I think I got that from like cartoons or something. But yeah, that is in Young Frankenstein. But the funny thing is, Mel Brooks was actually really a student of film. So I know his High Anxiety isn't a very popular movie, especially when it came out. But if you watch it, there is a lot of Hitchcockian shots and things like that in it. So that was also if you watch Young Frankenstein, but you watch it not necessarily as like a comedy, it has the look of those old Universal horror movies. They really do. Kabuki Kid says, High Anxiety is underrated. Grade A says, I like the putting on the Ritz dance. Putting on the Ritz! Peter Boyle. I always got a kick out of people were like, wait a second, Peter Boyle, you mean the guy from Everybody Loves Raymond? He was the monster? Well, actually, usually they're like, he was Frankenstein? And it's like, no. First of all, it's Frankenstein. It's like, no. The monster is not Frankenstein. Frankenstein is the scientist. The monster is Frankenstein's monster. I know everybody watching knows that. You watch the show, you're smart enough. You already know that the monster's name is not Frankenstein. That's a given. Kabuki Kid says, I love they got some of the original prop equipment from the lab from the old Frankenstein movies to use in Young Frankenstein. Flavor here it says, no, my name is Frankenstein. I always liked that movie. Clint says he loves Mel Brooks movies. Yes. And the funny thing is, most of them could not be made today. There'd be absolutely no way. So Kabuki Kid says, I guess you could argue that the monster is sort of Frankenstein's son. So he's sort of a Frankenstein too. Yeah, well, yes, the monster does name himself Adam in the book. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about the son part. I don't know. I guess we'll agree to disagree on that. So, yes. Yeah, the monster names himself because Frankenstein never names him. Because Frankenstein doesn't want anything to do with it. So, oops. All right. Anyway, do want to mention I got more contests. So if you follow me on Twitter, I revealed a clue to my second February contest. I did tell anybody who watched yesterday's show what one of the contests are. If you didn't watch it, I'm not going to tell you. Got to watch that show or just, wait until February 1st. But if you do follow me on Twitter, I did share a hint, of what I'm going to be giving away for February. It's going to be pretty cool, too. I think February, I'm going to try to do 3 contests. And I think I'm going to try to do 2 that are Twitter related and 1 YouTube related. So Kabuki Kid says, love Top Secret. A Great A had mentioned Top Secret. I remember seeing it. I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't in the right mood. I thought it was okay. I know everybody was talking about, oh man, it's gonna be it's as funny as Airplane, and I did not think it was as funny as Airplane at all. Another movie that probably could not be made in this current political climate. Anyway, so let's talk about the contests that are going on. We're getting closer. I know a Great A pointed out we're at 3.89. So 3.89 thousand subscribers. Actually, it should be 3.99 now. Although I gotta say, I don't know if, like I said, I think you see a different number of subscribers than I do. So I don't know. Because I think it usually they'll have like they round it off. So if it shows that I've got like 3,887 subscribers, it'll show the public it's like 3,880. I don't know. So Great A says, send out those invites, Flaming Huron. And Kabuki Kid says, the Pinto exploding joke was worth the entire movie. So Doug says Porky's was hilarious. You know what? I never saw Porky's. I didn't. So a Great A says that they see 3.89. Yeah, maybe that's it. I don't know. Yeah. I don't pay that much attention to it. Oh my God, there's one more subscriber. Oh, now we lost 2. Oh, there's another one. Anyway, if the Gaming Gang channel can get over the hump to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, I will be giving away this brand new in shrink copy of Next War Korea from GMT Games. Of course, I know this isn't going to happen, but I got to tell you anyway. If the Gaming Gang channel hits 5,000 subscribers before the end of the month, I will actually give away a core set of the trio of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons books from first edition, the Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, and Monster Manual, all with artwork by Jeff Easley. And of course, granted, this isn't a January contest, it's an ongoing contest. If by the end of February there are 6,000 subscribers to the Gaming Gang channel, then I will be giving away my alternate art copy of Dungeons & Dragons Candlekeep Mysteries, and I'll get it in the winner's hands on the day it comes out in stores. So one thing I do want to mention as far as the alternate cover for Candlekeep Mysteries, if we don't hit the 6,000 subscribers, There will be another contest to win that. So, but it'll probably be that you have to, be a subscriber and comment on the first look video, something like that, or it'll be from the review, one of the two. So Flaming Heron says, even if I recognize that image, I would have to guess at the second contest, and we'll need to make sure to comment on a video because I didn't notice I needed to for Candlekeep Mysteries by tomorrow. No, it's not Candlekeep Mysteries by tomorrow. It's 6,000 subscribers by the end of February. So you still got plenty of time. Fiber Dave said, never did like most of his movies. Talking about Mel Gibson. No, not Mel Gibson. Mel Brooks. Maybe Mel Gibson. Don't know why. I guess I'm weird. I mean, I have to admit, there's some Mel Brooks movies that I'm kind of like, So Flaming Heron says, oh, it's weird. On the pinned tweet, Reddit is that. I'll have to take a peek because that should not be the way it looks. So I don't know. Half the time I'm tweeting stuff that I'm not even paying attention to what I'm doing. All right. So that is it for this time out. So, of course, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Monday through Thursday nights right here on YouTube, also let you know when I upload other videos, such as tonight's Kickstarter preview of Cult of the Deep from BA Games. And, of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Those of you who hung out watching live, thank you very much. Always appreciate it. Thanks for keeping me company. We had a good chat going tonight, even though Viper Dave doesn't like Mel Brooks movies. Just kidding. Of course, I do know there are folks out there who don't have an opportunity to watch live. Hey, I appreciate anybody watching. It doesn't matter if you're watching on Memorex. I certainly do appreciate all of you taking time out to watch this doofus just pontificate and ramble on. Anyway, everybody enjoy the rest of your Wednesday night or Thursday or whatever day it happens to be when you're watching this video. I will be back tomorrow. And, of course, as I wrap up all my videos during this never-ending pandemic, I certainly hope all of you out there are being smart and staying safe. Oh, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, if you'd like to subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel, by all means, click right here. And if you'd like to check out one of our recent live streams, click right up top. And if you want to roll the dice and see what the algorithm for YouTube recommends, click right here. And of course, thank you once again for watching. And gang, please stay safe and wear a mask.